Hello, everyone. Peace and blessings. It's me, Dr. Sabrina, and I want to welcome you back to Soul Speak Conversations for Your Healing Journey. And I want to thank the people, you all who have been listening and watching and hopefully benefiting from these conversations. Today I'm feeling so blessed and fortunate to have a guest. And I know sometimes you only hear me and sometimes you hear me plus other amazing women. And today I have another amazing woman today with me, Sister Hasnaa Mokhtar. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sister Hasnaa, and then I'm going to give her a chance to tell you a little bit about herself as well. So Hasnaa Mokhtar is a nonprofit executive, a researcher, and an expert on prevention, intervention, and survivor advocacy. She's the vice president of Safe Sound Somerset, where she advances survivor-centered and equity-driven approaches to addressing domestic and sexual violence. Previously, she served as the executive director of Wafa House, a nonprofit providing culturally specific, trauma-informed, and holistic services for survivors in the Arab, South Asian, and Muslim communities. Her leadership spans community-based organizations, higher education, and public scholarship. Dr. Hasnaa also formerly served as Director of Global Education at Douglas Residential College and as an adjunct professor in the Department of Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at Rutgers. This beautiful woman holds, she's a Meteor Center Progressive Women's Voice Fellow. She has a PhD in international development from Clark University with research focused on narrative power and the invisible trauma of gendered violence in Muslim majority countries. Her work's been in Fortune, Yahoo, Feminist Review, and Feminist Anthropology. And I was so fortunate in working with Dr. Hasnaa on a Muslim women's storytelling project a few years ago that is still accessible on the web. So please join me, my friends, in welcoming Dr. Hasnaa Mokhtar. Hello, peace and blessings.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr.
Wa
Sabrina.
alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for having me and for this lovely introduction. It's always a blessing to be in the same space as you. Not only did we do that training, but I also took one of your recent writing courses, which was phenomenal and always, you're very special, Dr. Sabrina. So thank you. I'm honored to be here today with you.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention, after that writing course, you published something while we were in the middle of the class.
Yes.
You just don't stop. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So today's question, I'm going to read it out loud, and then you will speak about it from your lens and how we can help this one woman who represents many women. Mm-hmm. This question is from KP. Dear Dr. Sabrina, I'm a 45-year-old mother of 3 who is at the tail end of a 20-year marriage. To this day, I am taking the blame from my children, who believe that the marriage ended because I didn't understand their father. Not unusual, right? They do not know that my husband was physically and emotionally abusive and that I left to save my life. Even though I know I did the right thing for my family, I am so tired of the burden of silence and protecting my abuser. And sometimes when I'm alone, I also question myself. What do I do? And how do I help my whole family heal? I know there's a lot in that question, right?
Yes, it's a lot. There's guilt, there's silence, there's abuse, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of burden. Mm-hmm. So, and unfortunately, that's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. This idea of keeping the peace, trying to hold the family together and protecting the abuse and not concealing, and just carrying that burden. I'll start from the last part, which is how
Sure.
to help everybody heal.
Yes.
What I'd say is and that's all stemming from my own personal experience. I don't
Mhm.
think anybody can help anybody heal. I think
Mm.
we heal ourselves. Uh,
Mhm.
folks, and the more we heal, the more we center ourselves, the more we inspire others around us to heal. I mean,
Mhm.
and I'm sure Dr. Sabrina, you know this. You can't force anybody to change who they are and what they think they are. They want to think.
Yes.
Um, Otherwise, the world would have been a better place if we're able to do that.
Mhm.
So, starting there, like this idea that this person carries the burden of healing everybody, I think it's not reasonable.
Yes.
Focus on yourself and your own healing journey and wish healing for others. Send healing energies for the others, but then there's nothing you could do or change that's going to heal other people. Let's just
Mhm.
put it that way. The other part is I'm always careful when it comes to breaking silence about abuse. There's always these slogans out there like, speak out. And rightfully so. We need to continue to raise awareness around the issue. But when it comes to personal experience, that's something that you can't rush others into. You can't just force somebody to talk about it when they're not ready. And so, if this person feels that after 20 years of marriage, with all the blame, the children need to understand there's a way to communicate that.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a communicating hurt and abuse and why they left coming from a place of this is the reality and I'm sharing the truth and I'm being vulnerable and I just want you to know rather than I'm spitting this out because it's like I'm trying to take sides or create trauma or take like whatever. So again, from personal experience, when I felt ready and I felt that I've done work, healing is an ongoing work that we continue to do every single day. So
Mhm.
I'm not in a place where I'm like, hey, I'm healed. Ta-da. No, I think it still continues. But I think I'm in a place where I can talk about this from a place of this is what happened. This is how it shaped me as a person. This is how it informed the decisions that I've made in my life. And I want you to see my viewpoint. So if this person is ready, they can share. I mean, I don't know what the reason is for holding this. If it's because they're not ready, then they should give it some time. If they're ready and they've done the work and they feel like it's not sitting well anymore because of the blame, because of the children not understanding, then I think it's time to share that. This is what happened. This is the reality. I've endured so much abuse and I chose to remove myself from that situation for my own safety. And I need you to understand. And
Yeah.
I wish for your father to seek help, to seek support, to heal as well, because, we need everybody to heal, even the perpetrators, because that's how we stop harm from happening. So, yeah, there is so much. And eventually, again, from personal experience, my parents divorced, there was abuse, there was neglect, and I was angry for a very long time because I was young and I was
Mhm.
hurt. You grow up, you do the work, you start to make sense of it and understand why your parents did certain decisions. It doesn't make it less hurtful, but at least you kind of know where they're coming from and you give them that benefit of the doubt. So you're not as angry, you're not as judgmental towards them anymore, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So what I'm also hearing you say to KP is do the work on yourself. Work on healing yourself first,
Yes.
and then see if you can address what is burning inside your family or what is making your children uncomfortable. But I also heard you say that it is not uncommon for and we're just speaking in terms of KP being a woman, being married to a man.
Yes.
We don't know all her details. We don't know where she's from.
Yes.
So we're just sort of speaking globally. But I also heard you say that it is common for women in particular to take the blame and carry the burden in their desire to keep their family together, to keep their children okay. They just take it.
Yes. I mean, my culture, so many other cultures, the women are supposed to take it in, hold the peace together, you know, make sure everybody's happy, everybody's safe on her expense to the point that she's breaking apart. Whether that's abuse, not abuse, too much work, too much responsibility, and so we take it as a as a given. We don't even question it until stuff like this happens, and then you start to ask yourself, like, where is the end? Do I have to fall apart so that? And I think that's where she's saying in her question, when I'm by myself, I start to question myself. It's
Yeah.
like, it's too much for a soul to a burden for a soul to carry that much.
To carry
uh,
alone.
yes.
And I see so many women carrying it alone. And one of the things that I notice, and maybe you've noticed it in your work, is I sit with women and I so love what you said about readiness, because there has to be the right time to make a decision to actually leave or tell someone. It has
Absolutely.
to be right for your safety.
Yes.
But I also always ask women when they're ready to tell me when they knew that this relationship had passed its expiration date. And they knew very, very early. And they knew that things didn't smell right, things didn't taste right, things were just not right. And they didn't know that addressing it or walking away or even sharing it was an option. And I'm always fascinated that even in this day and age, even right here in the US, how many women don't realize that they have choices. Has that been your experience as well?
Yes, and I would like to say that it's not always about knowing your choices. I think we're human and humans are complex. Sometimes it's also about
Yes.
having hope that this person might change.
That is true. That is true.
Because as much as the person is hurting you, you also have love in the mix, and it's very messy. So yes, they're keep causing you pain, but you wish that they can see how much you love them and just change for you. So that makes it harder.
Yeah.
When kids are involved, that's always a way hard. Like, there's this idea that we need to keep the family together, even
Mhm.
though it's toxic and abusive, rather than break it apart and everybody heals. And then for the life of me, I don't know, where did we learn that from. It's this ideal of marriage that, yes, stay in the marriage, keep the kids, keep the husband, and then everybody's abused and everybody's miserable and then traumatized, instead of, no, let's come to terms, let's seek help, let's find a different way of living. So I think, even, I mean, the irony, myself, Dr. Sabrina, I was doing my PhD, I was doing research, and
Mhm.
I was in a not a very, I mean, there was no physical abuse at the time, but it was more emotional. But it's like, it
But
was my
it
second.
still hurts the heart. That
Exactly.
emotional
Oh
abuse.
yeah. Oh yeah. It
Oh
was
yeah.
a lot of pain internally,
Mhm.
mind, all of it. But it was my second marriage, so it's like
Mm.
stigma and the shame that comes with, oh, am I gonna, did I make the wrong decision again? Am I gonna, what are people gonna say? It's my fault.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's, every situation is always complicated. I knew I had choices, but then there's so many other things that were kind of in my head about, what do I do next?
Yeah. Yes. And sometimes I think you're absolutely right. And that also crosses many, many cultures. I see a lot of women in my practice who say, well, I stayed because I've been married 2 or 3 times already. And I didn't want to be judged for being divorced again. And that's a flaw in our culture. And so sometimes what I say to women is, what? You found 2 men to commit to you for life? Okay, it's okay. It's okay. You found two, which tells me that you have the heart capacity to find a third or a fourth. And our culture tends to judge the commitment of marriage more than once, but we don't judge. And I say to them, so if you slept with 15 men, no one would care, but you married two and it's a problem?
Yeah,
And they begin to think about it in another way. It's okay to attempt to go deep. And it's okay to say, to make the choice in the beginning to say, look, this isn't working the way we're doing this now. And I heard you
absolutely.
say something about getting help. And are you talking about getting help when people are married, and or whether you even have seen women who experience that sense of powerlessness when their partner won't get help? Have you seen that as
Oh
well?
yeah. Oh yes. I was
Mm,
open. I've started my healing journey in 2005. And so that's always been part of who I am, my identity. And it was a mere coincidence. Like somebody gave me a book about emotional abuse. I have had no idea what abuse meant or what it was. And then that came into my, possession, and I started reading and I started making sense of, oh my God, it makes all sense. Why am I angry? Why this happened to me and this? And then from there, it's been just a crazy journey until this day. There's courses, sessions, trainings, people, mentors. So I'm always eager to learn. And I feel like as a Muslim woman, God expects
mhm,
me to make a better version of myself every day. I think, at the heart
mm,
of who I
mhm.
am. But then you have somebody you can't work a relationship with person wanting to do this and the other person completely blaming you for everything. So
Yeah.
that becomes there's no way around it. You can't
Mm-mm.
force someone into change. You can't force someone into attending something with you. Then that's the end.
Yeah. I love what you just said. And that crosses many, probably all faith traditions, that God commands you to keep trying to become a better person every day.
Absolutely.
And what a relief that is, because you didn't say, God commands me to be perfect. You said,
Nope.
God commands me to keep knowing myself, to keep knowing myself until my last breath. And that is something that everybody can get with, no matter what their tradition is.
Absolutely.
You know, do I know myself? Do I love myself as I am? And can I keep striving to be better? And the other piece you said that is so challenging and so true is it, and I think it's a quote that Estelle Perel actually said, but I like it. She said something like, "It takes two people to make a pattern, but only one person to break it."
Yes.
And so if the partner doesn't want to change the pattern with you, then you have to shore up the power to change it yourself. And some women think about it for a very long time before they're able to do something different to really change that pattern. And what
Absolutely.
I'm that's sort of the work you've been doing with these women.
Yeah, I mean, and it all honestly started with just doing the work on myself, Dr. Sabrina, because,
Yes.
you want that for others. You want to people to see that, there is life outside of the trauma, of the abuse of, and it's not easy, it's not linear. It's every day comes with a different challenge, but when you're it's like one of my mentors used to say, it's like an onion, you're
Yeah.
peeling layers and getting to the core of it, your authentic self, and getting to know who you are. And it's a journey.
It really, really is. And even what you're sharing, I'm reminded of a woman that I'm seeing right now. And she was in an abusive marriage for a very long time. We probably spent 3 years of her just coming in and saying, "One day I'm going to go, but it's not today." And
Yeah.
I just held her for 3 years. And, when she would leave, I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, I so look forward to her getting to that place." But she stayed in contemplation mode for 3 years.
And she probably appreciated you not forcing her into one where that you were just showing up, listening, supporting, being there.
Absolutely. Because who am I, the healer, the guide, to tell somebody, leave your husband now? Oh, and then what? I'm not living in her day-to-day existence. Like, if she didn't have the strength to finally do it, she would have just regressed and gone back. But when she was finally ready and she really packed her bags,
That
There
was
was
it.
no turning back. And it
Mhm.
was interesting. And I always tell the men that I work with, let me tell you something. I'm very direct now. I don't, I'm an old lady therapist now. But I tell people that men who have contributed to the emotional abuse of their wives or vice versa, I say, let me tell you something. The day she stops crying is when you should be very concerned. The day she stops asking, you should be concerned because that is the point where she is done. And it may be a minute before she goes, but she is done. And is that what you want? And I love, oh my gosh, I get so hyped when I see men in this relationship actually say, oh my God, you're right. And then there's others that dig in deep and just keep and can't give it up. But it's a beautiful thing when I see them actually do the work. And it's clear just based on what we know about KP. I don't know all the things that she's done to try, but she's at the end. And and I'm sure you've seen it too. There is a strength that they carry that it can't be broken.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly you realize that it's time for you to put yourself first too now.
Yes, to love yourself again.
Yeah.
And then to sit and ponder how you got there. What happened that contributed to you being
Yes.
there? But it doesn't mean that we sit and go into blame and judgment. It just means this happened to me and this contributed to me opening up my life to a person that probably didn't completely deserve it.
Yes.
And what, yeah, I cut you off. Did I cut you
No,
off?
no, no, no. I was just, it's, yes, absolutely. Like,
Mhm.
I think the idea of connecting the dots back to your childhood, growing up, family, culture, that part is always fascinating for me because you start to see the pattern in the patterns, the choices you make. Why
Mhm.
did you make them? And once you realize that, it's very powerful
It
because
is.
it releases you from that sense of the, oh, it was my fault. I got myself here.
Yes. There is nothing more beautiful than to relinquish ourselves from the shame and the blame and the judgment. And what you're talking about, when we look at our childhood and look at all the different elements that contribute to who we are, and to see it like this instead of like this, then we can give our mother's mercy, our father's mercy, and so many people that have contributed to the steps that we took. Um,
Something else, Dr. Sabrina, I think it's our responsibility to model healthy behavior and healthy relationships to our kids.
mhm.
I wrote a piece once a long time ago about how it's often that we tell our kids do and don't, but that's not how they get their habits from. They imitate what we do and who we are. And
Mhm.
they're like sponges, they absorb that from us. And so
Mhm.
it's about how to, and I think that's one of the things that made me be keen on healing
Yeah.
and getting away is my kids. You know, I want to try my best to show them that this isn't the way to live. You deserve better than this. So
hmm And I think you just answered the last part of KP's question, right? So it's not about necessarily constantly taking the blame, but it's about how are you showing your children what healing looks like
yeah.
and taking responsibility only for your part, but honoring them. This is how I'm living. This is what I'm doing. And what happens when you see your mama finally sitting outside in the sun laughing? And you know that she's experienced the healing, or seeing her plant some flowers, or simply reading a book without a nervous system that is chronically out of alignment. And those are also signs. Or even I know some women, I tell them, every time you sit and snuggle with your 4-year-old, they get a healing.
Yes.
And your 15-year-old, they may not understand for a couple more years, but they will see and they will know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's part of the healing,
Mhm.
the
I
witness.
use I use a funny metaphor with my 10-year-old. We started using it a couple of years ago because he's very sensitive, and he's always coming back. It's like, why did this person say this to me? And he's like all in tears. So I said, listen, if people have trash in their hearts, it's gonna come out of their mouth. Trash is gonna come out of their mouth.
Right.
If they have flowers in their heart, flowers are gonna come out of it just depends on, and he loves that analogy, and it makes sense to him. So
Yeah. And then you don't have to be attached to it. And that's the key.
yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet. And so, but and that's sort of how the KPs of the world also heal. I'm replacing what was no longer useful in my heart with something beautiful, with something that blossoms, with something that smells good, that makes people smile. And it's okay for me and you to have a range of emotions while we
Yes,
work through it.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that's the other thing. It's like I think there was one point where I was on a self-help kind of book,
Mm-hmm.
marathon.
Yeah.
Idea that like every time I'm experiencing some turbulence internally, I'm like, why? I just did all this work, and it's like, I'm like, nope, it's not supposed to be one way all the way. You just kind of sit with discomfort. It's okay. It's up and down. Every day is different. Yeah,
Yeah. But to be able to sit with the discomfort is also a way to heal.
absolutely. Yes.
Because I've seen the KPs of the world unable to sit with it and end up engaging in harmful behaviors.
Yes.
And so, if KP, like you just said, can be okay with being uncomfortable, not knowing every single answer at that time, and surrendering to the fact that she doesn't know everything, but she did know it was time to let that season of that relationship go.
Yes.
That's very powerful healing. So, is there anything else that you would like the KPs of the world to know based on who you are and the lives that you've touched or your research?
Um, from our conversation, I think also having the right support network
Mm-hmm.
is crucial. It doesn't have to be 10 people, it doesn't have to be huge or grand, just one or two people that you can trust can go to in
Mm.
your moments of vulnerability to help you, guide you, run things by. I think this is very important too.
Yes. So, to have a support, at least one or two people that have your back without judgment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That pressure with our spiritual friends, familial, whatever it is, in any shape or form. People
Mm-hmm.
that show up for you and help you kind of in your moments. I think that's really
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. And that's what you did in these programs that you used to run.
Yes, the work we do, I mean, honestly, I can't take credit for it because teams of counselors, legal advocates, like currently at Safe and Sound Somerset, we have about 136 volunteers.
Oh,
Like
wow.
the people that volunteer their time to go advocate with survivors in the court system, to just show them, support them, help them. It's just fascinating the amount of work that people do and dedicate their lives to, even though we're under so much pressure right now because of the climate and the funding and the validity of nonprofit existence and all of this. But
Mm-hmm.
people still show up. People still, I mean, we're just always, it's always inspiring to see how many lives have been transformed. Like our safe house, we've had people come in and stay and then go and get the job, buy their own homes, like just complete transformation, which is exactly the kind of work that, we want to be having in the world and the impact. So
Beautiful. So, what you're telling KP is healing is possible, support is available,
absolutely.
and transformation can happen.
Yes.
Those are beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Hasana.
Thank you, Dr.
So
Sabrina.
appreciate you hanging out with me. And I want to thank all of you and KP and all the KPs. There will be ways to stay in touch with Dr. Hasnaa if you like. We'll share her ways to get in touch with her, resources, whatever you need as you prepare for this next chapter of your life. And I thank all of you for hanging out with us, for listening, for having this very, very sacred conversation. I wish you all the best. Peace and blessings.